magic from him, perhaps. It's a good ball. Racing. It goes towards Röhl. Brilliant save indeed. Walsh has scored. Leicester City are in dreamland now. Vardy in the middle. This could be a huge moment. Vardy scores. And it's pandemonium in Leicester.
Mahrez with his left. Albrighton with his right. It is Mahrez. It's a good ball in. Morgan's there. It's in. Leicester City score. It is a captain's goal from Wes Morgan, who lifted the Premier League trophy in May. He might have played a big part now in taking Leicester City through to the quarter-finals of the Champions League.
Lift the trophy to the skies. Leicester City are the champions of the Premier League. 5,000 to 1.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses for another live stream and another show talking about managers, different managers who are out there. This time, we are talking all about Danny Röhl, and I'm glad to say I am joined by Dan from the Wednesday Week podcast. Dan, even to you, mate. How are you?
I was better until I woke up. You know what I mean? Every time I wake up, there's some new news, there's something else happening, and you're kind of like, oh, for God's sake. You know what I mean? I think actually we posted up that Eddie Hearn meme, you know, where he checks his phone and you go, oh, that's how it feels right now.
Yeah, another meme that comes to mind is the Mick McCarthy one. Oh, it can't go on like this. It can. I mean, we joke about it, Dan. I mean, we've been saying something similar within the Leicester fan base, you know, with all the chaos that's been going on. But looking over at you guys, before we touch on Röhl, what is going on at the moment, mate? Like, because from an outsider looking in, it just looks a mess.
I can't work out if you're stitching me up and you saw my show last night. I went into a huge deep dive into the background of Milan Mandaric and what happens to the clubs after he goes. And it's not great reading, apart from yourselves. You know what I mean? And maybe Pompey to an extent, right? You guys, you had that model where Vishai came in and then you went on to win the Premier League, right? Great. That it's worked a treat. It's not worked everywhere he's gone, because the way Mandaric does it is very short-termism. Without getting into too much details, because I said a lot quite libelous on my own show last night. There is a pattern emerging of clubs that have not had a great time once he's exited the door, and there's a background of him finding somebody with deep pockets and not a lot of brain cells, and then they either flourish like he did with yourselves, or they don't, like they did at Sheffield Wednesday, at Nice, at Charleroi. You know what I mean? Even Portsmouth to an extent as well. So I feel, you know, don't get me wrong, a lot of the blame falls squarely at the feet of our current chairman, Depon Chansiri, but there was some issues in the background that we needed to get over first. Yeah.
Well, you know, without gloating or you know, having a dig, whatever, I can say as a Leicester fan, thankfully it isn't as bad as it is with you guys at the moment, but we do play you guys on the first game of the season, which could be an interesting one, because your current manager, the manager who is currently contracted at Sheffield Wednesday, is heavily rumoured to be taking over at Leicester City. Him and Dyche are the two clear favourites. We heard from our local journalist recently that they're not interested in Dyche, apparently. So that does leave Danny Röhl. Before we talk about him coming to Leicester, I wanted to know, what is the first thing that comes to mind when I say Danny Röhl's name to you? What type of manager is he, and how has he been for Sheffield Wednesday?
Young and trendy is the strap line. So, you know, the role of the manager has significantly changed over the last 30 years, right? Since the early 90s, since the inception of the Premier League, we've watched people go from wheeler dealers to getting one over the line and chucking money at people to all of a sudden they just now become the head coach. Do you know what I mean? He's very much from the head coach model. And what we found, obviously, the way football's gone, is that the manager is quite dispensable if results on the pitch don't happen, even though it's not them kicking the ball. So Danny Röhl fits that model of those sexy appointments. You know, those young, trendy guys that are going to come in and try a certain style of football, and it worked well for us, right? But let's not fart around the poo. There's an element of Danny didn't get it right every time. And if you speak to the right contingent of Sheffield Wednesday fans as well, as soon as Southampton were rumoured to be interested in him, he kind of down tools if you speak to the right people. He wasn't the saint in any of this. However, positives. He's worked at a very high level. He was the assistant manager for Bayern Munich. Worked with the German national team, and this was his first crack of the whip as the man in the chair. And we've had some great wins, but I feel like there's also been some batterings in there as well. A lot of it is when we've tried to move away from 5 at the back to go to 4 at the back, and all of a sudden we've had our backside handed to us like we did against Ipswich in the Championship in their promotion season. We got spanked 6-0. You know what I mean? It's fun and it's exciting because he plays with these 2 attacking wingers, cutting in from the insides in that really modern, trendy way that we all seem to like. Because let's be honest, it's the most exciting thing that happens in football nowadays. Because football's boring now.
Yes. Well, mate, I mean, this is what I was going to come on to because, you say a young and trendy manager and, as you'll know, 2 years ago, Leicester City, when they were relegated, they appointed Enzo Maresca. We had a year in the Championship with him. We got promoted, we won the league, and he got poached by Chelsea. And there is a big split in the fan base at the moment. There has been for quite some time about style of play. The style of football that people want us to play. Literally, mate, 50% want an Enzo Maresca style of play, 50% at the other extreme, Sean Dyche. That's how it seems to be at the moment. How would you nail down Danny Röhl's tactics, his style of play? Because there's a comment here from somebody who says, is it gegenpress, but he adapts to opponent? How does this all look under Röhl?
There won't be 2 good 45 minutes of football in the same game. So what we found last season is it's a very tentative start. It's keep the ball, keep it away from them, pass it around. Don't Barry Bannon's in the middle of the park at 300 years old. You know what I mean? Don't tire yourselves out, that type of thing. And then we'll go for it. You know what I mean? Okay. Get it out to the wings, pass it, keep the ball, get it down to the. There's no hitting the byline and whipping it in, much to my chagrin, because I grew up in the 80s and 90s. That's what wingers are for. But now they're cutting in, they're crossing it to the back stick, and then getting it in. And then people your age tend to use the term number 10 for attacking midfielder. Back in the 90s, number 10 meant the big lad that played next to Michael Owen, and he was the number 9, that type of thing. You know what I mean? He was the Peter Crouch, the MLS kid, that used to be number 10. But there's an attacking midfielder in behind a striker, and with 2 attacking wingers cutting in on the edge of the 18. So you have that to an extent. But there's nothing, you won't get, like I say, you won't get 2 good halves of football out of Danny Röhl. It's very tentative to start with, a poor first half, and woe betide you scoring first, or that's if you get him, right? Woe betide Danny Röhl's team scoring first, because the second half is also going to be trash.
Right, okay. There's some more comments here I wanted to get in here. So there's a comment from Richard. He says, does Röhl learn from his mistakes, and how will he handle players with bigger egos, as that is our issue at the moment? This is why, mate, a lot of Leicester fans wanted Sean Dyche in there. We do have a few players with quite big egos. We've got a couple of players that have had some controversies recently, like Harry Winks, Yannick Vestergaard, who were kind of expelled from the squad under Ruud van Nistelrooy. What do you think to that? How do you think Danny Röhl would handle, because with all due respect, the players in the Leicester dressing room, they're on more money than the players at Sheffield Wednesday. They've maybe had higher heights in their careers, bigger egos. How do you think Röhl would handle that?
I think that's a great question. The reason being is because we've never discussed that type of thing on our show. I kind of like that as a question. Röhl learning from his mistakes for the first half. There's been a few times, like I said earlier on, where we've been playing 5 at the back, or 3 centre backs and 2 wing backs for a lot of years now. And when Röhl has tried to come away from that a number of times, but it's always very tentative when he does. So we'll go out, we'll play 4 at the back, we'll get our backside handed to us, and then we'll go again in about 3 months' time, see if we can change some bits. You know what I mean? So yes, he does to an extent. the second half of that question about handling big egos for such a young man. I mean, Danny Röhl's nearly 10 years younger than I am, right? And he's worked with some of the biggest names in the game. Like I said, German national team.
Yeah.
He's got no qualms hooking Barry Bannon at half time if he's phoning one in. So, and there's been a number of times, there's been a lot of rumors, a lot of rumblings about some of the things he said to the players in the press afterwards. There was notably a couple of games towards the back end of last season where he sort of said the players weren't this, they didn't put enough, they didn't try hard enough, things like that. To the point where if you've got somebody who's not backward at coming forward, like Josh Windass, for example, it's going to get under the skin. It's a motivation tactic where instead of going, hey guys, come on, we're all in it, you're kind of on the pitch going, no, F you, I'm going to show you I can bloody play. And, it kind of works that way with certain players. So can he handle big egos? Yes, he can.
Okay.
Will he need to at Leicester? Maybe. Because like you say, there's going to be a lot of players who've played Premier League football playing in that squad.
There's on the Leicester side of things, on Leicester Twitter and all of this, there's some Sheffield Wednesday fans that pop up and offer their insight into him. I've seen loads of comments saying that he himself has quite a big ego. Is that true? Mm-hmm. Because there are some negative comments about him that I've seen in the last few days, and I want to try and determine whether that's bitterness or whether it's genuine. Is that
from our fans about his ego?
From your fans,
Right, okay.
yeah, and some saying. I mean, I saw one today that said he was an arsehole. Basically, that's what I saw today.
Back in December, Southampton got rid of Russell Martin, and what I dismissed as easy journalism was, Danny Röhl's been the assistant manager for Ralph Hasenhüttl down at Southampton. He knows the club, so it was easy journalism for me. However, there were strong rumours. I need to be very careful saying this. There were strong rumours that he had his head turned by Southampton and wanted to go. However, he just recently signed a contract, and he had this tight clause where it was going to cost £5 million to release him from that contract, and he wanted to renegotiate that clause. And the chairman said no, because what we found out since, he needed the money, really. You know what I mean? But he did whore himself out a little bit, and has done since the close of the season. We've started pre-season training. He's due back. He's been twerking for every club across Germany, and every time a new German role goes missing, he's there's a lot of people doing the another one bites the dust meme. So is there an element of, is he completely blameless in all this Chansiri debacle? No, he's not completely blameless at all. He did want to go. There was, again, rumours about him telling the players that the Southampton deal was done and dusted. There's even one this week about him saying, I'm not coming back. Again, strong rumours. So, yes, he doesn't... Loyalty doesn't go a long way when you're not getting paid, does it? You know what I mean? And
yeah, of course.
When he was enjoying himself, when he was happy, you could see the smile on his face. You could see it happening. When we staved off relegation the season before on the last day, hell of a turnout. You know what I mean? Really, really impressive what he did. And if you look at the thing on the pitch that he managed the most was turn over a group of players' confidence that was literally on its ass. For the season before last. This year, it was all his signings. Well, to an extent, right, as what it is in this game. It was all his signings. Everything's happening. Everything's going his way, and we finished mid-table. Now, on paper, finishing 9 places above where you finished last year is growth, right? And that's a third of the league we've gone shooting up, half the league. You know what I mean? It's a lot of places. So,
yes.
So ability-wise, it's there. There is a definite what's the word that you kids now use? Ethos. What's the word that all the managers say when they come in? I've got my own. What's the term that?
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's not going to mind, but I know what you mean. Ethos. Style, philosophy. I don't know. Something like that.
Philosophy is the word. That's
philosophy.
The word. Philosophy. It was on the tip.
Yeah. Another question I want to ask you about, because again, this is a big thing at the moment with Leicester and what fans are asking for. And I don't know if it's something that you'll be able to answer on. Youth. Do you know what Danny Röhl is like with the younger players? Because, Leicester City at the moment have a group of players coming through who the club many people at the club are calling the best they've ever had, and this is including the likes of Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, Ben Chilwell, Harvey Barnes. They reckon this group of players is the best to ever come through. And, when we look at potential managers to come in at Leicester, we want someone who is going to be able to develop that youth well, integrate them into the first team. Have you any idea whether Röhl would be a good fit for that?
Danny has given a couple of debuts and a couple of run-outs to some young players. However, unfortunately, much to the chagrin of a lot of Sheffield Wednesday fans, our noisy neighbours down the road tend to have a decent academy set up a lot better than we do. We aren't renowned for bringing players through. And then the ones that we're all excited about end up signing for levels like York City and Morecambe. You know what I mean? That tends to be where they go.
You had Jamie Vardy there, didn't you? You just let him go.
Yeah, we had him. What was it? Turn of the century. Yeah, so he'd have been in the Chupa Chups in about 2001, and we went, "Nah, you're rubbish, you pal. See you later." And fair play to him. He's not been quiet in being a Sheffield Wednesday fan. I mean, the way he celebrates scoring against the Blades is truly one of my favourite things. And we've been absolutely hoping that he'll come back for a swan song. But there was always that question of whether we could afford him. And given the way it's gone the last few weeks, we know we can't afford him. You know what I mean? But yeah, so in terms of youth players, that there was one notable player that we got in, that we bought in actually, that was like 18, 19, called Gabriel Otabeo, young kid. We had some injuries to a lot of our centre backs towards the back end of the season. He came in and got a good run in the team. So if the talent is there, he's not afraid of playing the youth players.
Well, there's a question here, and I think I know the answer from something that you said earlier. Somebody asked, since late January, Wednesday's form collapsed. It's probably a mix of the mess at the club catching them up and Röhl making some mistakes. Does he feel it was more the club mess? But you said that you think his head was turned and that maybe he'd downed tools after Christmas, after the Southampton debacle?
Yes. All of those things ruined our season. So we were knocking on the door of the playoffs. Would the playoffs been a too big of a stretch for us? Yes, they would have been. But there was a number of times we were 2 or 3 points off the playoffs. January hit. We had the Danny Röhl debacle being linked with Southampton. That turned his head. And then he dug out the players after a couple of terrible losses. Then we had Shea Charles, will he or won't he stay, during a fan, at the end of a meeting, these fans forums that the chairman held. We got the text message with 1 minute to go saying, oh, by the way, he's been recalled. And then Chansiri had to put his hand in his pocket, which turns out now we couldn't afford, to get Shea Charles back in for the back end of the season. And a lot of players didn't perform. Like I said, there was rumblings of him annoying a lot of the players in some of the comments in the media, but it seems like a bit of a football manager issue, that, doesn't it? Just get on the pitch and play football. You know what I mean? It's mutually beneficial for everybody for you to play the best you can. Bonuses, shop window, all the other cliches that you want to chuck in there. So yes, with Danny Röhl's situation, with the Shea Charles situation, and then with everything catching up, with the sword of Damocles swinging over the club, and then March hit and the players didn't get paid, but they did get paid for April. Now they've not got paid for May and June. Now a lot of them are leaving. There's been some internal tear-ups, and it's all could probably be tracked back to the way the chairman's run the club.
Okay, well, at the moment, it is just rumours. And on the Leicester side, the rumours are doing the rounds. I mean, I've tried to delve into the world of Sheffield Wednesday, Twitter and all of this. I've been on Owls Talk today.
Oh, good.
Seeing what's being said. I mean, are there any rumours that you're seeing at all from your end? Is it just the same old? Because I keep seeing he's negotiating an exit. I've seen some people on Owls Talk. I'm sure it's all BS, but they're saying that the release clause has been lowered and that maybe Leicester are negotiating it. Are you hearing anything over on your end?
Yes, I'm hearing the same things, right? I'm reading the same things. I just feel that over the last 6-7 months, even to a year, every job that's come up, low Premier League, mid-table and upper Championship that's come up, Danny Röhl's name's been linked with. He's on the revolving door. You know what I mean? He's the young, sexy, did his bits on ITV during the international tournament last summer, that type of thing. So there is an element of that's why he gets linked with all these things. You know, there's some talent there. Like I said, he's 9 places above where we finished last year. That can't be ignored, right? And everybody in the paper will be clamoring to go, and the media outlets will be clamoring to say, imagine if he had a chairman that wasn't mad as a fish in petrol. Imagine if he had support, financial support, and all these millions that you guys are going to get over the next 3 years in parachute payments. Danny Röhl will absolutely lap that up, and he comes from the Red Bull coaching network setup that they all just seem to have a line into. So there is an element of, yeah, he's been linked with everybody else. The Southampton rumours are strong. The rumours with yourself, especially when you got rid of Van Nistelrooy, were very strong. And then there was also some strong ones with RB Leipzig, who didn't go the way of Danny Röhl. Because let's be honest, he's only been a gaffer since October the other year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like with Enzo Maresca, obviously. He delved into managing with Parma in Italy, and then he came back to the under-21s with Man City, and then obviously he showed up at Leicester and did amazingly. So I think a lot of Leicester fans are excited about the prospect. It is interesting to get your thoughts on him and get a bit of insight. The final question I'm going to ask you, mate, is just about Sheffield Wednesday. There's a comment here, and it's from Joe. He says, how are you honestly feeling about the season ahead for Wednesday, or are you not thinking that far into the future? Where's your head at now with the season that's, how far away? 6 weeks away already?
Yeah, July has kicked me in the arse today. It's the 1st of July, which means we're only a month away from the season starting in that month. You know what I mean? The second half of that question was absolutely spot on. I can't think that far ahead. So as it stands today is the first day that the players can essentially hand in their notice. And in 2 weeks, they're gone. They're not Sheffield Wednesday players anymore. We've been slapped with a 3-window embargo. We're not going to be able to sign any players till 2027. So I can't think how far the season's going to be. I think it's going to be difficult? Yeah, I do. Are we going to be playing League Two football in 2 years? It's a possibility, because the more that comes out about the mismanagement of our club that's happened over the last 10 years from Chancery is absolutely incredible. We're going to be Blackburn, Bolton, Bury type of levels in trouble, and we already are. And the issue is, because we've not paid the players, they're going to go on a free, and we might get a couple $100,000 for some of these players, but again, it would be a drop in the ocean in terms of the money's owed.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, mate, with everything that's going on. I do appreciate you coming on, and I'll 100% be in touch later in this summer, because we've got our game, obviously first game of the season in August.
Let's do that.
If it goes ahead. Leicester have got their own problems. You guys have got your problems. But I'll drop you a message, and we'll get you back on sometime soon to discuss more, mate. Thank you so much. All right. Just let everybody know, quickly, where they can find you as well on Wednesday week.
Oh, we're on all the socials, the Wednesday week, TWW Cast on X is the one we tend to use the most. And if you want some utter nonsense and utter crap, get onto TikTok, because it's a different platform. The young kids aren't going to watch an hour-long podcast. They'll watch a minute video of me dancing.
Lovely stuff. Cheers. Thank you so much, Dan. All the best, and we'll speak to you soon, mate. Thank you. Cheers to Dan. Very much appreciated for him coming on. It was really interesting to have a chat about all things Danny Röhl, Sheffield Wednesday, all of that good stuff. We've got a few more things to talk about today, so we're going to do that. The first one, though, it's not really a transfer, because he did leave on a free. But Danny Ward to Wrexham, confirmed. What do we all make to that? Let us know in the comments. Joe, he did talk about Mandarich, mate. So just check if you want to go back to the start, he mentioned something about Mandarich. I don't think that's going to go ahead anymore. The Mandarich thing, coming to save them and then let them go. But yeah, Danny Ward, let me know in the comments, and also let me know in the comment section what you thought to what Dan was saying about Danny Röhl. Obviously, it's not all rosy. You know, it's not all amazing from and not all positives from Danny Röhl in the Sheffield Wednesday camp. There are obviously some negatives about him. There are some concerns from Sheffield Wednesday fans at how he conducted himself. Yeah, it's £0 because that's how much he went for. It was a free, basically, just on Wrexham. But yeah, let's get into some of the comments anyway and have a chat about this. Jack, by the way, I dropped you a message, mate, so check Twitter for that. Sean says a player who should have been rid of 3 years ago is finally fucked off. Yes, and I'm going to come to this one because this is a belter, by the way. I don't know if anybody saw this. Danny Ward, in the transfer fee and the wages we've paid since he signed, is going to cost us £25 million. How ridiculous is that? How nuts is that? Obviously, you've got the transfer fee, which I think was 12.5, and then that on top of itself again, double that from the wages that we've paid him over the last few years. I mean, it's an absolute shambles. We heard rumours or stories that Danny Ward was going to Wrexham to be the number 2. He was going to be the number 2. So he's not even going as their first choice goalkeeper, which is nuts, which is absolutely nuts. It is absurd. Yeah, it is absolutely absurd. One Bilal, one Skip, one Skip, Danny Ward's cost us. What's worse, 25 million for Skip or 25 million for Danny Ward? Absolutely nuts. Yeah, that's disgusting, 100%. News about other keeper that left on free was more interesting to me. Released academy player liked my post about it and already messaged me. That hints to the ex-players do not like the board. Do you mean Daniel Everson, Fossop? Has Daniel Everson's messaged you? Really? Let me know if that's the case, Fossop. I saw what he said, which we'll talk about. Or is it Brad Young that's messaged you? Somebody's messaged Fossop. Got a bit of an exclusive here. So just to offer context here, this is what Danny Ward had said to Fossop. Sorry, this is what Danny Ward had said to the Lancashire Post. We got relegated, and after that, it has just been carnage, not letting me go and stuff like that. There's a lot of people in the background. People don't know. It's been frustrating. I had a lot of options to get out and play, but so many people have to agree about a deal, which is what killed it, really. I've been waiting for 2.5 years to get out and play again. Okay, it's Brad Young, Fossub is saying, that messaged him, not Fossub. Interesting. Yeah, Brad Young messaged you. That's interesting though, Fossub, that Brad Young has messaged you, or somebody, sorry, not Brad Young, if we're not saying Brad Young's name. That's crazy. That's crazy. Get Everson on BTG. Hey, look, Brad Young, if you're out there, mate, if you're out there, come on BTG, give us an exclusive interview. Fossub, if you've been speaking to Brad Young, mate, drop him a message, let him know BTG want to speak to him. We'll get him on. We're going to get another person on the stream in just a second. Not Young, but another keeper. Okay, no worries. What idiot at the club wouldn't let him go? Yeah, I mean, we heard rumours last summer. No, the one before. One of the 2 summers, we heard that clubs were after Everson, and we just, I don't know if we asked for the valuation was too high or what, but we didn't let him go. Crazy, considering he's then also sat there. And yeah, so right, we're gonna get in Jack in just a sec to come and have a chat with us. Let's just do a couple bits and bobs. I think we do that. And why is that not working? Jackie boy, what's going on, mate?
What's going on with
How
your
are
face? Oh, there we go.
Mate, I am red. I am hot and bothered. Jack, talk to me, mate, because I know you spoke to somebody else from the Wednesday Week podcast a couple of days ago. Now you've just heard what he's had to say with me as well. What do you make to it all, mate? Because it's not all rosy. There are some negatives to Danny Röhl. There's some questions about his conduct since Christmas when Southampton came for him. But what do you make to it all?
I think that's with every manager, isn't it? When they get linked with all these jobs, there is talks with other clubs. They probably wouldn't deny that he hasn't spoken to any other clubs, to be honest, because he probably has. I don't know if he has spoken to Leicester directly. I know that Leicester and Sheffield Wednesday have talked about compensation and that, but whether Danny Röhl's spoken to Leicester is another thing. I don't even think he'd want to pick the bloody phone up to John Rookin, if I'm honest. I don't think I would either, even though it's just sitting here right now. So, do you know what? It was honest. I think the relationship between Chanziri and Danny Röhl has been going on for some time. It's very questionable, and you can see what a real mess Sheffield Wednesday are in. And people say, yeah, but Leicester are in no better position in how our club is at the minute. But, you know, if you will look at what we've got compared to what they've got at this minute in time, I don't think he'd turn us down. If we offered him double his wages and that, which probably will happen, it will be that sort of case, then I think it'd work. But yeah, January never really worked for them, did it, to be fair? I think they've been struggling for a while on and off the pitch, Sheffield Wednesday. I think for me, he did a job the best that he could, and he obviously has a high ceiling where he wants to advance himself in his career. But then there's a way of doing it, aren't there? And if you're going to tart yourself and bloody twerk yourself to bloody death to bloody getting another club, then that's kind of warning signs, and that's something that Leicester have obviously got to keep an eye on as well with him.
Yeah, this is true. Danny Ward did not have 2 clean sheets this season, did he? Did he even play 5 games? He played in the. Did he play in the Warsaw game? In the Walsall game, that was a clean sheet, right?
Clean sheet.
And then who else? And then what was the other one he played in? The other league, the other cup game as well, where Will Alves played. Tranmere, was that a clean sheet as well? So he played in those 2 games. So there we go. They were his 2 clean sheets. I mean, talk to me, Jack. Danny Ward. He's finally gone. Well, we've known this for a while, but he's gone. He's gone to Wrexham as their number 2. And it's come out today that he's cost upwards of £25 million. That is the net cost to Leicester City with the transfer fee and also the wages. You could say it's actually cost us hundreds of millions of pounds because he's a big reason why we got relegated that first relegation season as well, mate. It's been a nightmare.
Yeah, it's a wage stealer, isn't it? Let's be fair. The guy couldn't bloody keep a clean sheet, even if he tried. I know people are, but it was Walsall, it was Tranmere. You know, they are League 2 sides, League 1 sides, whatever they are. No disrespect on, but anyone should really keep a clean sheet if you are a quality goalkeeper, what he proclaims to be. Do you know what? Wrexham are probably going to find out the way Leicester found out with Danny Ward. He's got bloody digestive biscuit fingers, and everything just goes through him. He's not a good goalkeeper. He's a wage stealing. I'd get the party poppers out if I'm honest, because thank God he's gone. He's spent so much time wanting to advance his career, but he hasn't, because he's just been willing to sit on 50 grand a week at Leicester City. So it shows his ambition in football. That guy was probably going to leave Leicester and think, you know what? We'll get a number 1 jersey somewhere. We'll play first team football. Well, you're not. You're sitting behind a League 1 goalkeeper, for God's sake, at Wrexham. So that shows how ambitious you are, Danny Ward. You're just happy enough to collect the money. So I'm glad he's gone. I think you can use them wages to other players' advances, to be fair, and when you do bring further players in. So, yeah, for me, I'm glad he's gone. But Iverson's comments, I'm not really surprised, to be fair. I think the club did want to try and keep him, but maybe that was just because they didn't really know what were happening with Stolasic either. So maybe that was really why they had to keep him last season. But I can understand he's had a bit of a moan and groan about it. I would also. But you want to be playing at the best of your ability. And at Preston, he was number 1 and did fantastically well there. So if he could do that at another club, fantastic. But yeah, I think he'll be glad to leave Leicester City as well. I mean, he was on a little bit of money as well, but probably not as much as Danny Ward. There's
a big development that I want to talk to you about, Jack, in the last few hours. It's nothing concrete or anything like that yet. It is something that a few of us at Blue Tinted Glasses heard 2 weeks ago off another YouTuber. And we didn't really say too much about it. We spoke about him though, and today there's been a bit more, a couple more tweets about it. So we will talk about it now, and that is Josh Brownhill. So here's the situation. 2 weeks ago, I got a message from somebody who said that Leicester City had offered Brownhill a contract along with Burnley, who he was currently contracted to. They offered him a new deal. Leicester offered him a deal. I heard at the time it was unlikely he was going to go to Leicester. He was just going to sign for Burnley again. But he has not signed the deal at Burnley. He's actually left the club. Apparently, the rumours are he's actually taken his belongings out of, Burnley. It's Leicester and Ipswich, 2 of the clubs who are linked with him. There's also a couple clubs abroad. Free agent However, the rumour today, the tweet from a couple people in the Burnley camp, let me just read it out to everybody. It says, understand Josh Brownhill wasn't involved in the first day of Burnley's pre-season training. The 29-year-old becomes a free agent when his contract expires. That was 2 days ago. And then today, hearing Josh Brownhill to Leicester is potentially on the cards, seen as crucial in Leicester's promotion bid next season. Long contract and big wages on offer. Now, Jack, this has been a big talking point on the channel for a couple of weeks because we included him in our midfield scouting report as well. He is a elite championship midfielder. Okay, he is incredible at this level, Jack. He scored 18 goals, I think. There you go. Yeah, you can see 18 goals from midfield this season. What do you make to this one, mate? Because on one hand, I'm saying, wow, he's a top-class championship player. The other hand, Jack, I'm saying another example of us giving an older player, 29 years old, big wages and a long contract. That's worrying, mate.
Brownhill's exceptional. Was at Bristol City. Watched him a few times. Watched him play for Burnley as well. I think he's a great midfielder. He's very commanding. He's captain material. Likes to boss the midfield quite well. Can also score goals, which I've seen last season. Some of his goals. I've just watched some of his highlights on my phone. So the guy is good. He's proven in the Championship that he can do a job. You can rely on him because you know what he's capable of. The stumbling block is what you always mention with Leicester is the wages. I think it was Josh mentioned 70 grand a week. That's the stumbling block for me, wages. Leicester City need to go into this transfer window in the summer, sort of strategise to bringing these wages down. We're not a Champions League going to be going anywhere near that anytime soon at this minute in time. So we need to forget about handing out these big, massive wages. And like Tom Colomossi said in his article, what I read earlier on, that 100% plus was going out in wages at Leicester City, by the way. And in the Championship, you're only allowed a certain amount. So he's a good player. I would take him on a free if we can get him cheaper on wages. If we can't get him cheaper on wages, it's definitely a no-go. I think you're on mute.
Sorry, mate. Let's see what some of the people are saying in the live chat. There is over 1,000 people watching over Twitter and YouTube. So big shout out to you. If you are watching on Twitter, you want to come over to YouTube. That's where the party's at in the live chat. I've seen your DM, Fosshub, so I will read it out shortly. But yeah, over 1,000 of you watching. So big shout out. Let's see what some of you are saying in the chat here. So 2 to 3 years wouldn't be a bad thing, but he'll get a 5-year deal. That's true. Yeah. That is true. We are Leicester City. We offer 5 years at 100 grand a week contracts to Deadwood. I don't think Josh Brownhill's Deadwood, but your point stands, Sean. He's not getting any younger, and if we tie him down, and it doesn't, imagine it doesn't work out.
Skip though. He's far
skip,
better.
yeah, skip. Yeah, he is absolutely. I totally agree with you. He'll defo be on. So I think we did a bit of research, and according to Capology, which is fair, it's the most accurate you can get for wages in football. They reckon 45 grand a week. They reckon 45 grand a week. He's on now at Burnley, so it's going to be an increase on that. I have been told a figure, but I've got no idea if it's true or not. It's 70 grand away. I don't know if that's just BS, so I'm not going on that. This is 10 times better than the Donkey and Bertrand, where pace is needed. He'll be Deadwood by the time he runs down his contract. That is true. That is true. Let's have a look here. At least Hamza got some fun out of Ward. Naughty. His fibers are slowing down at 29. Yeah, he's not got those fast twitch fibers, but he is a really, really good, one of the best championship midfielders ever, in my opinion. If you look at what he's done in that division, every time he's been there, he has been incredible. Not the best, one of the best, before people come for me. Let's have a look at this. Michael says, King noticed some post he was in the Wrexham away fans versus Notts last year. It's his childhood club. So, Danny Ward, you mean? Sorry. Yeah, Danny Ward. Not Andy King. I thought you were saying Andy King then, Michael. Chester says, I like the player, but we'll give him stupid money as usual. And finally there, Joe says, how much financial trouble can we be in if we are offering a big contract? it's a real head scratcher. I mean, Jack, maybe the club think, right, we know this guy is a great Championship player. He would be a starter for us. If Bilal goes, he would start for us, right? And maybe they're thinking we've got rid of $7 million a year from Vardy. We're aiming to get rid of Connor Cody. We're aiming to get rid of maybe Winks. We can bring this guy in and he'll perform at this level. What do you think?
Do you know what you say? Getting rid of Bilal El Khanous. What about if Bilal stayed in that centre attacking midfield role and you had Winks and Brownhill behind him? You get what I mean? If you're getting rid of Samore and Ndidi, Fast Christensen, Vardy's obviously a non-Leicester player now, so that's 140 grand a week you can put towards the pot, which you say £7 million. Connor Cody's going to be going to Rangers, so that's more money on top you can use. So I think Leicester, their main aim this season is to finish as high as possible with the points deduction. If it is minus 15, if it is minus 12, I still think we'd met playoffs. But Brownhill, you need types of his sort of phenomenon in the Championship, because you know what he's going to be and what he's capable of and what he'd give you. He'd give you 100%. And he's captain material as well. He's probably more captain material than Mr. Podcaster himself, Connor Cody. So it wouldn't be a no for me. I just think if we can get him on a cheaper wages, but if we do offer him a 2-3 year contract, then I think it'd be all right. But 5 years, you know what this club's like when it comes to players like that, don't you? They offer they over exaggerate on how much they should be paying. So hopefully that's something we've learnt this summer with everything that's come out with Tom Colomossi today.
100%, I agree. I think that we'll see players leave before the season starts. There's no doubt for me about that. I worked out earlier that we would save 18 million a year if we let Samari, Faze, Christensen, Cody, Hermansen, Bilal, and Ndidi, and the 10 from Vardy, Ward, and Everson. Was Brownhill an 8 or a 10 last season for Burnley? I'm not too sure. I think he kind of flutters between the two quite often. Connor Cody, Jack, the latest Mail, the Mail article, Mail Online. When was this done? This was at 2 hours ago. Yeah. It says that they are still interested in Connor Cody. Rangers remain keen on Connor Cody and his former teammate, Jamie Vardy. So there you go. Rangers also keen on Vardy. I mean, they were one of the clubs that were mentioned a while ago for Vardy. There was a few different clubs mentioned. I think Palace was one of them as well. Cody, obviously, Jack, we spoke about it yesterday, was pictured at Seagrave. We just want this guy gone ASAP, man.
You'd want him out your taxi, though, because he'd talk too much.
Yes.
You take the guy off the road with someone like that in your taxi, you know what I mean? You'd be turning around talking to him. You know, you'd have to put your headphones in, but you didn't even put your headphones in, you'd bloody still manage to hear him. So he is one that I'd get rid of. If we get £3 million locks, it's £3 million quid. You know, it pays the compensation back for Ruud van Nistelrooy. It goes in the pot regarding PSR with a positive, and that's what we need to be looking at, getting rid of these players. We're going to lose money on these players, of course we are, because we've been relegated again. If we didn't get relegated, we'd get a lot more for them. But Connor Cody, I'd get rid of him as quick as possible. If Rangers are bloody touting him, then they must believe he's the next bloody Maldini or something. So, champion, is it Europa League or wherever they're in next season? So, yeah. I think it'd be good for him as well. And they believe they're going to be getting a world-class captain material podcasting defender. So, I'd snap their hand off for Rangers if they offered us $3 million for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's one more thing here just to mention as well on the same article. It says here, Liverpool are after Salford City's promising striker Will Wright. Arsenal, Brentford, Leicester City and Burnley have also checked on the 6'3" teenager, though it is understood he is keen on a move to Liverpool. Salford have recently turned down offers from Burnley for another teenage forward. This guy apparently is valued at around £100,000. Liverpool are going for him. He's 17 years old. Sounds like a nothing story, to be honest. It sounds like one that one of the big teams will snap him up. Spot on. Just got to cut your losses and get them out the door. Sean says should have got rid of Cody when we were after Sensi. How hot is it in Leicester? I'm going to sound weak, but it's only like 25 or 25 to 30. But it's Jack. You know what I mean, man? It's a struggle. It is a struggle at the minute.
It's a hot job, isn't it? Let's be fair.
And Jack's lost all his weight, so it's easier for him. I'm still packing, you know what I mean? So I'm a bit warm.
So that's the main thing. That's receding. That's probably what it is.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. But yeah, for anybody who has just joined, the Danny Röhl chat was at the first half of the show. We had Dan from the Wednesday Week podcast. He gave us a lowdown on Danny Röhl. So if you want to have a look at all that, then rewind to that bit. Mr. Fatah, who lives in Munich, he says it's 31 degrees. Yeah, it's pretty tough. Okay, we're going to end it there. That was a nice little chat there about Danny Röhl. It was a nice chat about Connor Cody and Josh Brownhill. Hopefully, Jack. Hopefully. Let me ask you, actually, because I know you, Jack. You've got some friends in high places. What rumours have you heard about Danny Röhl? You heard anything, mate?
Nothing really. I've just been talking about with Sheffield Wednesday people regarding news pages and everything like that. They have little people in the club, don't they, who they can talk to. But yeah. Apart from the Daily Mail, with what they've said about the compensation thing, there's obviously been rumours, haven't there, about a 600k thing to £1 million compensation. If I were Leicester, I would pay that personally. They need to get this deal done quick if they are to get him in. I know Martin Glover is big admiration for Danny Röhl. He knows him very well. So maybe with this scenario of Danny Röhl, maybe Martin Glover said, I've got a man for you. You have been looking at him when Steve Cooper got sacked last time. He had been sounded out when Cooper got sacked in the autumn.
Yeah.
He's a future manager they have looked at, so they have been keeping an eye on Danny Röhl. So maybe Martin Glover said, you know what? Maybe we need to take this punt now. And let's go with Danny Röhl. So maybe he's got in Rudkin's ear and that and changed it from Dyche to Röhl. So we'll see how it rolls out.
I'm getting hotter by the minute, mate. Right. Yeah, I'm getting hot. I'm getting flustered, mate, thinking of Danny Röhl. No, look, there's a lot of people asking me, look, I get DMs all the time. I'm sure Jack does. I get DMs all the time from people who give me rumours. Half of it's bullshit. Yeah. All I'm going to say is I've had 4 messages today of 4 completely random people that don't know each other. They're all saying the same thing, that Danny Röhl is imminent. He is coming to Leicester. We're negotiating a payoff, 700 to £1 million, whatever you want to call it. Everything sounds like it's him. However, Jack, we had this with Graham Potter last summer. Even the godsend Fabrizio Romano said he was coming, and it ended up being Steve Cooper. Let's just hope, Jack, that this doesn't end up being Chris Wilder. Can you imagine?
Like Jurassic Park football, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? Land of the dinosaurs. I think with Röhl, they've got to act quick. They need a manager in to take this pre-season and get his own players in, because no player will either come in or probably leave until this man comes in. So with Potter, they put all their eggs in one basket, didn't they? He started asking questions, then they started to panic and thought, what do we tell him? What can't we tell him? And that's why Potter didn't want the job at Leicester, because they wasn't clear on the ambition and what they wanted in the situation. So hopefully they can have an actual honest conversation with Danny Röhl. Sometimes you have to lie a little bit to bring these people to the club. That's the way football works. But top wants Röhl as well.
I believe that. You know what? I can see it now, mate. Yeah, I can see it now. Top wants Röhl. Rudkin wants Dyche. I can see it. It's so obvious that is the case. If Chris Wilder comes in, then the hat in the fan base would be massive. Yeah, mate. You know what? I said this in our group chat, right? I said to Manny and Anil. I said, if Chris Wilder comes to Leicester, you guys can have the channel. In fact, Jack, you can have it. Anybody can have it. Clibbo can have this channel. I refuse. I could not sit here next season and watch Chris Wilder at Leicester City. I can't do it to myself. But anyway, we're going to leave it there. Thank you to Jack, mate, for jumping on at late notice. Thanks to Dan from Wednesday Week. Hopefully we'll have some proper news soon. And yeah, that's it. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. for Fox's Den. I don't know what the topic is yet. I'll figure it out. And big shout out to our sponsors, Match Bingo. You're about to see a video supporting the channel. So yeah, thanks to them. Thanks to all you in the chat. We'll see you very soon. Bye-bye. Thank you to today's sponsor, Match Bingo. Over 200 grand has been paid out to players so far by taking sports betting, football and bingo and combining them into one brilliant app. Make sure to get your bingo card for any Leicester game in the upcoming season by clicking the link in the description or via the QR code on screen.